Hello everyone, welcome to ScorchyourToys@anymoon.com's review of the KitzConcept Fast Pack accessory for their SD VF1 Veritech toys. This accessory was released in February 2017 for $39.99, that's US dollars. Inside the box you got instructions, the fast packs themselves, booster effects, missile firing effects, and reaction missiles for the wings. When you first pull this accessory from the tray, this is what you'll see. You've got a few different armored parts with covers that are removed from them. Here is the leg armor. You can see the detail there. You can also see there are 3 holes that accommodate 3 pegs in the top cover. So we're going to go ahead and put that on. You want to make sure you get those booster nozzles through first, and then you're just going to apply a little bit of light pressure and everything should snug up into place. Now, when that's on, it will fit on pretty securely and you won't have to worry about it popping off, so that is very nice. The boosters on top also have a little battery bay underneath. You're going to have to unscrew that screw, take out the little piece of plastic that's keeping the batteries from being engaged right now, and then put everything back together. Make sure you don't lose that screw in the process. Here is the cover you're going to want to put on. You can see there's 1 slot in the middle, 1 peg on top of that cover. So you're just going to go ahead, line it all up, and then you're going to push down, and it's going to take a little bit more effort than you would expect, but it should snug into place. And again, once it's in position, it will lock in pretty securely. Now you don't get an articulated nozzle back here, but this UN Spacey Kite actually is the button that engages that LED light, which is pretty cool. And then at the front there's a button here that will be engaged by installing these missile parts. And you can just install that missile part. I'll do that now so I don't have to do it in the next step. By pressing it firmly in, you can see it's just one big fat peg that will attach firmly into place. And you can see that light came on once I did that. And you could take these booster parts and push them into place, and then turn on that light, and there you go. So there are your 2 light up gimmicks. Unfortunately, once you have the missiles on, they are engaged. You can't turn them off, but you obviously have this button that just does the boosters. So I would have liked this button to actually activate both in case you wanted to leave that missiles on display for a while. I'm going to begin by installing these fast packs, I might call them super parts or super armor, on the toy in fighter mode. The better mode to do this in would definitely be Lloyd Mode, to use the Robotech parlance, but we'll do it in fighter mode. You're going to take your vertical stabilizers, you're going to pull them apart a little bit, fold them over, and flip the backpack over. You could bring this door down now. I'm going to wait on that until after I've installed the boosters. Now going down to the legs, you're going to go ahead and pop the leg down. You can see that peg that just came loose, and then at the gear walk joint bring the entire leg down and then ratchet the knee back. Now you can see we got that peg, we got that slot right there. On the armor itself, let's take the wing in so you can see things better. There is a slot and a peg. We are going to match those up and push down. They should fit pretty securely. Once you've got that on there, you can go ahead and bring this peg on the armor up towards that slot here, and then you're just going to get the leg straight until that peg is nice and firm in the back plate, like so, and then go ahead and repeat on the other side. Alright, now we're going to move on to the arm armors, and the trick to the arm armors is just to make sure that you've got the little inlet that holds the butt of the gun on the interior portion in the middle there, like so. Now the arms themselves attach in fighter mode without fast packs via this peg right here that goes into that slot. That holds the arms well, pretty tightly together in fighter mode, but these arm armors are a little thicker than the tops of those arms. So once you install this arm armor by just pushing it into place, and it fits on very, very tightly. Let's see if I can just get it on there. There it is. Alright, so a nice loud click. It is locked into position. But if I do that with both pieces here, the peg in the middle will no longer be able to reach that slot on the other arm. So you're gonna have some sloppiness until you take the gun and you just attach it to that little inlet we talked about before. And you got to make sure you got the barrel, or the grip I mean, in between the two shoulder pieces. So let's go ahead and put that there. Again, having a little problem with that. There we go. And then we're going to lock the other piece into it. And that will then connect those arms pretty well together. And you actually need that gun installed so you can use the display stand. So the fact that that original peg doesn't really reach as well anymore ends up being mitigated by the fact you're going to need the display stand, since these toys themselves don't have any landing gears, and that's kind of the only way to go in fighter mode. Okay, let's turn our attention to those boosters. The boosters connect in the center via this piece here, and now it's actually made out of pretty good plastic, so what you could do to cheat a little bit is just go ahead and connect the boosters to that center piece first, and it's pretty solid, and then just fish this whole entire thing underneath that backpack and bring it forward, and you'll need to kind of pull things apart as you do it. But it'll get to the front and it'll collapse and lock into place, and there you go. Now that backpack's on a double hinge, so you can go ahead and bring that back and they'll be nice and flat and horizontal. And now all we have to do is attach our reaction missiles. The trick with the reaction missiles is to take the solo missile, which on most VF1 toys goes on the outside, and put it on the inside, which is a little counterintuitive, but you'll find it works out much better that way. And the reason for that is because this missile is tucked in right up against that armor, so there's not quite enough room for the double missile set. So we can just put this on. And there you go. Now, one thing I am concealing right now is that booster would just flop around on me, so that is definitely a downside of fighter mode if you're going to be handling it. That booster is not really locked into position in the backpack there. Now, I did fold this over earlier, so I'd be able to install those boosters a little better, a little easier. So you can go ahead and unfold that now, and there you go. You are in fighter mode. Got reaction missiles, just go ahead and put them on the other side and you'll be all set. If you've seen my review of the KitzConcept VF1 toy, you know I'm not a huge fan of its representation of fighter mode. And a lot of that has to do with how all the arms dangle down and dangle in the back. You can see the arms actually extend past the feet. Obviously that is not a fault of these fast packs, but what these fast packs do is they make the arm armors exacerbate that problem. So now you have the arms being the furthest thing down and the lowest point on fighter mode, which obviously is pretty horrible. From the back you also get the droopy space here. You don't have this part of the armor being big enough to accommodate those thick arm armors. So lots of little weird issues in fighter mode. But if you look at it from the front, and you look at it from several different angles, as long as they're more towards the front, a lot of those issues are really hard to identify, and it's cute. So the super parts, the fast packs, they're not making any new issues for fighter mode, except maybe the dangly boosters for handling. They are adding to the cuteness, so in that regard, they're doing their job. Alright, I've turned off the lights and we're going to get a little romantic with some LED light. There is the gun, which is a brilliant blinding laser pointer. And then there's a little less light coming out of the missile effects. That's because we have all those pointy pieces of plastic and the red paint kind of obscuring everything there. Also probably a less direct shot on the LED. Moving towards the back, you could see that the back boosters light up quite a bit. Which is nice, so those are good. So really, the missile effects, the dimmest of the lights available, nothing really competing with that straight shot of the green LED from the gun. Now, one thing you can also see here is this kneecap. It's a problem of the underlying toy, but when you crook the knee to install the fast packs, it pokes those knees out even further than they normally are in fighter mode. So that's one more bummer of fighter mode. Let's go ahead and check out Guardian mode. Here we have the armor parts on Guardian mode, and as you can see it makes a decent looking display piece. I do not have the booster effects in right now because I thought they would look a little bit silly, but obviously I could if I wanted to. Now, as far as operation in Guardian mode goes, everything is pretty decent, although I have two of these toys, and on one toy, the left leg armor is a little bit loose, and on the other toy, obviously the same armor parts, the right leg armor is a little bit loose. So there is some variation from toy to toy on how well things are going to click together. So it does seem like there's a little bit of a gamble that you might get some pieces that are a little bit loose on your toy, which could be frustrating. In Guardian mode, that's probably less of a concern since you're not going to play with it too much. There's not much you could do with the legs on this toy in this mode. Obviously, I can remove the missile effects, get a more clean look like so, and that's really all there is to it. If it's just going to be a display piece in Guardian mode, this is how it looks. Pretty cute with the super parts on. That's what it's going for. Let's check out Lloyd. Here is the toy in Lloyd mode, and as you can see, I have the little armored pieces off to kind of give you a diorama setting. I also am using the hook from the backpack to come up and grab this back plate. And I'm doing it on this particular toy more because I wanted to make sure I got the backpack in the right spot. On my Rick Hunter version, the backpack is much more necessary. Now, another thing here, a couple things. The hips on these toys, I wouldn't call them loose, but they do have a pretty easy movement to them. So you are adding some heft to the back of the toy, and that might cause some issue when posing the toy with the super parts fast packs on. Those hips might be a little free for you, and you might have to do some repositioning. So there you go. So here's what the toy looks like. Everything all dressed up. Looks good. I have a separate review for the underlying toy where I kind of talk about the pros and cons of Lloyd mode. I'm not going to do that now. Just wanted to show you that the things are on there. All the armored parts are on. They are secure. That hook came off, so we'll just bring that back down. There we go. So with that hook, you shouldn't have any concerns about those parts falling backwards. And again, there's a little slop to the hips, but not enough where my toy just keeps falling over on its own. The leg armors, again, a little bit loose. And so during handling, either one can potentially pop off on you. So as it is, you probably won't be playing with this toy terribly too much. You'll just be posing it, making it look really adorable. And that'll be the end of it. And for that purpose, it is definitely accomplishing that. These super parts, fast packs, make a nice addition. Looks clean. Particularly in Lloyd mode. Again, Garwalk mode, not a whole lot you can do with it, but it does still look good. Fighter mode didn't look good to begin with and doesn't look much better when you add fast packs. So there you are. Before we wrap this up, here's Rick Hunter's Veritech with the super parts, although that didn't actually happen in the show. And you can see that the missiles firing straight up off the top of the back, maybe not the most desirable effect. The booster effect can still work in Lloyd mode, depending on what kind of fun you're having with it. Now, the underlying toy comes with a display stand that doesn't really work for Lloyd mode, so that's not going to help you take advantage of these super parts fast packs here. You can put the reaction missiles on the wings in Lloyd mode, but only if they're open. If you try to close them, the missiles come so far off the back, you could see they would just run right into each other. So that's not going to be an option for you. Okay. This popping off you could easily fix with just like a little bit of glue on top of the peg. Let it dry, a little Elmer's glue or something to make that peg just a little bit thicker, and that would stop that from popping out. Okay, so there it is, folks. Now you know everything you are getting into. Check out anymoon.com for my full review, and as always, thanks for watching.